invite you all for this interesting session on the IR code bill, particularly with reference to the standing committee recommendation submitted to the parliament. And all of you know that the IR code had been placed before the parliament in the month of March this year. And immediately the parliament referred the bill to the standing committee, and they directed the standing committee to give the recommendation as quickly as possible. And standing committee went through the bill and made certain recommendations. Now, at the end of the presentation, I will tell you what is the result of this. The committee has presented the recommendation, and what is the result is going to be, and what is the upside. At the end of the session, I will just take on it. Now, we'll just start the session. Okay. Now here, friends, of course, all of you know that the labor reforms have been much talked of right from 2002, when the second Labor Commission made a report to say that it is required to unify and codify all the legislations into 4 different codes. That is the starting point. Of course, though the issue was put up in 2002, of course, our people woke up only now, and accordingly, some actions have been waiting. Now, you know that there are 4 codes. Code of wages has already been enacted and become a law. Only thing is the date of notification of coming into effect is not yet notified, it is pending. IR bill, of course, we are talking about 3 acts have been merged into. And Social Security Unification, it talks of 9, legislation unification. And Code on Occupational Health is a combination of almost 13 acts into this. And 29 labor legislations have been made into 4 codes. That is the starting point. Now here, the bill was presented to the parliament. Bill was placed before the parliament in 18/11/2019. The parliament refers to the committee on the 23rd December 2019 for examination and report within 3 months. The committee obtained a 4 days extension of time from Honorable Speaker to submit the report by 26th. Due to Corona problem, the parliament was urgent, as you know. Hence, this report is likely to be placed before the Lok Sabha soon after the session begins. You know, the committee formed was like this. There are 21 Lok Sabha members, 7 Rajya Sabha members, and committee had several meetings during January, February, March this year. And in the committee, they sought statements and oral depositions from the ministry and sought opinion deliberations from all the stakeholders. The stakeholders are, as you know, the employers, the trade unions, and the academicians. It was taken. On the employer side, you find, friends, only 3 associations have been represented. Only Association Chamber of Commerce Establishment, Chamber of Commerce in Cochin, and CITO, only 3 employers' organizations, they participated in the deliberation. Academicians, serious of management. And look at the trade union. You can see the number of trade unions. All the trade unions, without exception, have joined and submitted their say, what they have to say before the committee. So this is one. Now, the most disappointing factor here is, friends, none of the leading employer organizations in India, like for instance EFI, FKCCI, or CIA, or NOSCAM, have neither participated nor submitted any solutions or petition. So this is a major setback, major disappointment from the employer side. Whereas trade unions, all leading trade unions have gone ahead and represented the facts and represented the committee. But here from employer side, there has been a very, very disappointing weak presentation. Presentation I'm going to cover is that I will just the changes proposed in the bill with reference to the relevant provisions of ID Act and Trade Union Act, Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act. Suggestions and recommendations made by the standing committee about changes and any new inclusions suggested by the committee. So this I am going to summarize and then place it before you, because according to me, the recommendations what they have made, what the committee is making, has got very serious implications as far as the employers are concerned. Very serious. Now you can see, you can understand this bill is a codification of ID Act, Trade Union Act, and Employment Standing Orders Act. And the bill which was placed before the Parliament, if the Parliament had accepted the bill in toto, probably we were not in a disappointing position, because in that bill, not many changes are proposed which is against the company, against the employers. One of the notable factors was that recognition of trade unions was introduced, and industrial tribunal should be headed by a team. It means the 2 judicial members and a non-judicial administrative person to be integrated. It means the bench should consist of 3 people. The reference by the government was removed in the sense that soon after conciliation, either parties can go directly to the tribunal to raise a dispute. So this is some of the things which they have done. Not many modern things were done. Replica of the same act, more or less, it should have been absolutely fine. But unfortunately, what happened when the bill was placed, when the matter has been referred to standing committee, friends, it has opened a big Pandora box. According to me, a very big Pandora box, and you can see that. Now here, as you know, I'm not going to touch upon the contents of the bill, because I think every one of you have studied and gone through the bill. I'm not going to repeat it, but main chapters, as we know, are all these things. For instance, the definitions, we'll just cover 1 or 2. Then bipartite forums, trade unions, standing orders, notice of change, voluntary reference of dispute to arbitration, mechanism for resolution of industrial disputes, strikes and lockouts, layoff, retrenchment, closure, and special provision related to layoff, retrenchment, closure in case of certain establishments, welfare of reskilling fund. This is one thing which they have introduced recently, and unfair labor practices, offences, and penalties. So these are the main chapters. I'm not going to deal with all the chapters, because definitely you have undergone, you have seen this, but I will specifically concentrate myself on the specific issues taken by the standing committee and what they have going to say on this matter. First of all, the definition, appropriate government. See, this has been taken for debate by the trade unions. The existing definition, as we know in the ID Act, or as we know, if it is central-owned establishment, centrally managed establishment, centrally administered central government is the appropriate party. Similarly, wherever the state buildings are there, state managed things there, state is the appropriate government. In case of all private sector, other establishments, like most of us, the respective state, the state government is the appropriate government under the present ID Act. Now, in the proposed bill, there is no change. They incorporate the same thing. They replica the same thing they copied. And in fact, the definition of appropriate government in all the codes are same. There is no difference. Now, only difference is in case of Payment of Gratuity Act. Present Gratuity Act says that the appropriate government shall be because the branches have got more than one. Principal employer has got more than one. Appropriate government, central government, only in case of gratuity was there, but now it is also not there. It is absolutely state government, it is done. But now, This issue was thoroughly debated by the trade unions. They contended that the definition must be very clear that if there are more establishments than in one state, there shall be only one appropriate government which should be determined on the basis of status of employment. This is the kind of thing what they have said. Now, what do we mean by status? If you see the dictionary meaning of status, it says the means the position or the place where something exists or existing in terms of everything. Now, this is the definition of status, dictionary meaning. Now, look at this element. What are the implications of this? If this is accepted by the parliament, if this is accepted, what happens? Supposing now you have main establishment in Bangalore, and then you have got number of establishments in other states. Then what happens in case of a dispute for all the states? Karnataka shall be appropriate government, though your branch is located elsewhere. That is going to be different. Then you mean to say the trade union raises a dispute should come to Bangalore to raise a dispute and vice versa. So in fact, this issue was defended by the ministry. But unfortunately, the practical aspects of this change was not highlighted by our employer. That's the main problem. They should have really highlighted because this practical problem what they are going to face. This is what is going to happen. We do not accept this. They should have made it clear, but unfortunately, as I said already, representation by employer is the problem. So they recommended saying that the definition should be fully modified in terms of this. These are other things. And also they insisted that metro industries, you know, you got metro in Bombay, Delhi, and then in Bangalore. Now, for it is a railway, it belongs to railway, so it's nothing but railway. It should be central government should be the appropriate government, a different thing. But main thing for us, friends, is that the first portion inclusion of this clause that if establishment is more than one state, the appropriate government definition will have serious repercussions on us. A very serious issue if this success. Definition of the definition of workman and employee. Here in this bill, they have proposed two definitions. One is the employee definition. We don't know why they have introduced this definition of employee because mainly, you know, as you know, the ID Act, Standing Orders Act, and everything applies to only workmen as defined under the ID Act. That's the thing. But they have introduced this. Now, they have also introduced the definition of workman. This is same thing as it is now. There is no change. There is no change. Except, of course, the limit of to decide the workman or not in case of supervisor staff, the limit has been increased from 10,000 to 15,000. This is all a simple definition they made. Even if this was left just like this, probably it would have been all right. But you know, our trade union friends, their foot took this very, very seriously and they have put up this saying that this there are two definitions. These definitions will create a lot of confusions and it is not practical. They said that the word managerial is very general and most of the time advantage of designations are taken into account to deprive protection under the ID Act. Here, friends, the trade union cited a lot of examples. The companies engage people in regular activities but designate them as supervisors or managers, but actually the function is not so. But they carry on all the work with a view to deprive them and also say that they classify them. Oh, you belong to supervisor cadre, you are not workmen, so we also come to this. So this kind of thing is being done in most of the industries. It means that those people are deprived the privilege or the thing available under ID Act for the resolutions. So he said that a very general term, so we should not do. Say the same thing with supervisor also. We call him a supervisor, but he is doing the regular work, so it is not exactly a supervisor's job what he is doing. People are taking advantage of it and they literally miss the what you call the advantages and protection given to the ID Act. So the intention of the code must be to protect all employees under the code. They say, look here, when you make an act, this is applicable to everybody, including supervisors, also everybody should be covered under the act. So employee includes workmen and vice versa. He says that they contended, how do you define a manager? They argued before the committee to say that the person must be embedded with sanctioned benefits. Look at this, sanctioned benefits and disciplinary powers. If you define this, then we can agree, okay, he is not a workman. Now, just like, for instance, take in our example, how many managers have got, they have got powers to sanction benefits. It's a very wide term, sanction benefits. How many people have got powers? And discipline powers, how many managers have got discipline powers in an organization? So look at the practicality of it. So this is the problem. So then they said that specific attribute must be clearly spelled out in the definition. They insisted that you have to remove the word manager itself from the definition. They said the purpose of excluding managers, excluding the person engaged in managed supervisory capacity definition is that above class of employees often work as representative of an employer. This is the justification given by the ministry. The ministry tried to defend why these people are to be excluded, because they are supposed to carry out certain directions and carry out the responsibilities. Hence, they have to be, they represent the employees and they try to defend it. But what happened is that the ministry's argument was not supported by any of our employees. That's the problem. Actually, the employees should have a very strong objection to this. You see, there should be a classification. Otherwise, if everyone joins the common platform of worker, then what is going to happen? How do we manage? How do we manage the production? How do we manage? In practicality, they should have trust, the employees have trusted, but unfortunately, they did not put up any word. And is not supported by anybody, and they should be given up. So, recommendation, what they have given is like this. Employer and worker have been differentiated and defined separately in the logic that the dispute resolution mechanism under IDEA Act is available only for the workers and person engaged or deprived of the benefit. The committee are not at all convinced with the argument making by artificial differentiation between employee and the worker. Look at this. So the committee sternly said that we don't agree with the argument put up by the ministry. This kind of thing. As a matter of fact, everybody is a worker and vice versa. Therefore, the IDEA Act and mechanism, look at here, what they recommend is just repeat it. The other rights like forming a trade unions, being office bearer of the trade union, etc., should be made available to each and every employee and worker, notwithstanding the relevant provisions contained in the IDEA Act, which was enacted in 1946. Look at these things. Now, don't you think that this is a very matter of serious for all of us? Now, the company again further said, but wherever two words have been referred, you use only one word, that is employee. Invariably use the word employee, not worker any longer, because the benefit, there should not be any discrimination in the applicability of labor laws to the employee or worker. So this is one major debate made by the trade unions in support of their argument. Now this is kind of, and they also mentioned to say that uniformity should be maintained in all the courts, and once it is done, undesirable litigations will cease to exist. So company the ministry to reconsider and merge the definition of worker and further the supervisors, etc., managers could find a place therein. Now they put the ball in back in the ministry's arm to say that you revisit the definition, recode, and then keep it in mind whatever I just now talked to you or mentioned to you on this. So this is the kind of thing what we have done. Another thing is that the committee agree. Of course, the definition of workmen, that it excludes apprentices under the Apprentice Act. Of course, here they said that okay, that is fine. But the thing is that they said that even many people, many employers, this is the argument of the trade union. They said many employees engage people as apprentices in training, and they are deprived of the entire thing. The ministry defended, no, they are also covered under the ID Act even now, so you need not worry about it. But they were not convinced. They said specifically include that even other trainings are included as workmen, except apprentice fact fine, otherwise you should include everyone. So this is one serious thing what they have made. Differential wages. Now from the above discussions, probably one can arrive at this kind of thing. An employee who is only those persons who have been empowered to exercise the administrative responsibility, like granting service benefit to workers, initiating department disciplinary proceedings against them, only to be kept out of the definition of workmen, otherwise everybody is covered under the ID Act. In short, this is the conclusion by the standing committee. Now look at this. It is not a normal situation for us. This one. Now, next point what they took up was about fixed term employment. You know that they have been introduced the bill to facilitate the employers to arrange for a recruitment of fixed term employees based on the experience of work, based on the demands, etc., for a specific period, and also saying that there shall not be discrimination in the salaries between the fixed term workers and the permanent workers. Benefit, everything should be same. All these things they included. That is fine and self-eligible for all the applications. But the trade unions went one step ahead to argue on this. They said that please delete this clause at all. Please delete this. Fixed term employee, just delete this. They said that employers are taking advantage of this employment of fixed term employees and with a view to avoid to recruit permanent people. They don't want to recruit permanent people. They want to engage fix some employees for a period of time, go on extending it, deprive the whole thing. The whole thing is against the ethics as the union is concerned. So, if we have to employ fix some employment, but you have to do it very objectively. Very objectively. Why? Why you are engaging? What is the reason for it? So that reason must be substantiated. Otherwise, there is no question of calling everybody as a fixed term employee because it's been taking undue advantage of it. So this is another major blow to this question. They said there were restrictions on the number of renewals. You want to engage a person for how long? One term, 2 term, 3 term, 4 term, 5 terms, 6 terms, what? There should be a limit. And the gratuity also must be paid in proportion to the service period, service served, this kind of thing. So look at the argument put by the fixed term employee. Here also, friends, the employees are not emphasized why they have to go in for fixed term. Unfortunately, now over the ministry tried to defend the definition, but the trade union refused to accept. And of course, ministry strongly refuted. I said we will not allow. But the reason, although the discussions, the committee has recommended as follows. The committee, if therefore impress upon the ministry to incorporate, look at this, the exact words I have repeated here, protective and preemptive provisions in this clause, explicitly mentioning the condition under which and the areas where the employers can secure full-time employees from a designated authority. So we don't know what does it mean by designated authority. It means that for every recruitment of a fixed-term employee, you mean to say you have to go to a authority and then take permission or what? Is it practically possible or feasible? This also nothing was debated. In short, the court must specify if it is strictly based on objective situation so as to dispel and allay any sort of misgivings or misrepresentation. So, kind of made as far as the fixed-term employees is concerned. And also they said that the repeated renewals should be limited. maybe they said
खाली वही बोला कि साला वो मेरा उसका दिमाग में वही पर कल थोड़ा समझाया हूँ उसको उसको चार्जशीट करेंगे साला कुछ बर्बाद करेंगे
प्लीज म्यूट
प्लीज म्यूट करो यार
बुला के वार्निंग दे देंगे को बोल के
so maybe 2 terms they said okay maybe 2 terms is okay and being a workman he can also raise industrial disputes. So this is the final recommendation given by the committee to the parliament on fixed term employment. This is the kind of thing. Let's see the whole thing is again is a problem. Now friends, now we'll come to the definition of industry. Here also friends, as we know, what they have defined in this code is almost a replica of the definition of the same judgment of Krishna here in Supreme Court in the case of BW versus Rajappa. They said any systematic activity organized with employees and employees, and that happens in industry. A very wide thing I am just saying. This is exactly the principle laid out in the judgment, and today also is being followed by various courts. Everybody has accepted that it is accepted. Now here also they repeated the same thing. There is no change in it, and there are exclusions. Exclusions they have mentioned very clearly. Institution owned and managed by organizations wholly as engaged by any charitable or social services and domestic services and any other activity that may be notified by the central government are excluded. It is fine. Now, even for this, the trade unions took up very serious objections and then fought left and right. They said that, why do you want to exclude the institutions owned by, managed by organizations wholly and engaged with charitable and social philanthropy institutions? Why do you engage them? Now, we see across the country, large organizations are engaging, running various institutions. A lot of financial transactions take place. There are various educational institutions. There are so many things. Why this kind of behavior? They are also employing people. Why that kind of an exception? So we will not allow any exceptions even to this. It means that everybody should be covered because they also should get the protection of law. So you can't exclude them. Don't delete that clause at all from the exception. Then regarding domestic servants, there are very heated arguments even on domestic servants. They said that domestic servants need protection under the code. You talk of unauthorized labor. Why do you want to exclude this? So domestic servants also must be incorporated here. And the central government should not be allowed to exercise discretion to exclude any other activity. So this is the code. He said why the government should have powers to use its executive powers to exclude any other activity. Whatever it comes to your mind, can they do that? It has to be done by amendment. It means that they have to come to the parliament. So this administrative decision by the government should be removed. This kind of objection they took, and the standing committee heard argument, and finally they are recommended like this. So they agreed to delete the exclusion pertaining to charitable and social philanthropic institutions. They agreed to delete this. Agreed to retain domestic service. Somehow they were able to convince that domestic service should be excluded because it is extremely difficult to administratively manage, and moreover, domestic service falls in the category of unorganized sectors. So don't worry about it. So they agreed, but they agreed to delete the discretionary power by the government also. Look at this. So they removed the discretionary. It means that if the government wants to include any other activity, they have to go for amendment before the parliament. So it is not going to be easy, it is going to be tough. So this is the thing what they have done as far as this thing is concerned. Now, next thing came regarding retrenchment. Now this is very important. I'll just clearly explain to you. This is it has got a lot of implications. Now under the ID Act, on the left side you see definition of retrenchment. Here you see A, B, C, B, and C clauses are there. And then in the code also, they repeat the same thing and does not include the workman. It has been retained. Retirement of the person on reaching age of superannuation also there, and termination of the service of a workman as a result of non-renewal of contract of employment. This one, keep it in mind. And they have deleted termination of service of a workman on the ground of continued ill health, they have deleted this. So it means that, according to the ministry, it means that the termination of service of a workman on ground of continued ill health shall amount to retrenchment. Invariably, it means that. But now, the trade unions did not allow this to argue further. They firmly said the termination on account of ill health have been deleted, but they said that it must be included. Specifically, it must be included. Although ministry tried to defend, they said that it must specifically include in the definition. No question of what we call by implication and all that. It must be specifically included. And another most important thing is that the termination, according to Muslim, the termination of service of a worker as a result of non-renewal of contract of employment between employee must be delayed. Friends, this has got a very serious because probably this will lead to a lot of litigations. Someone will say, for example, you enter into a fixed employment, and automatically the termination comes in and then you go. Now, according to this class, it amounts to requirement because the termination of service of workman as a non-renewal of contract amounts to retrenchment. So look at the anomaly has been created. So this is exact. Even this also, friends, were not properly defended or justified by the employers in line with the ministry. Unfortunately, this has happened. Okay. So this, as you have told you, that another thing also they say, fixed term employees. Because this is an exaggerated argument they put before the committee. They said many employees do not even issue letter of appointment. Letter of contact they don't issue. They engage them to their will and fancies and discharge them. Where is the letter of contract? So there must be a letter of contract. It must be insisted and very important. So here, in our recommendations, mainly this include termination due to territorial illness as a retrenchment, number one. Number two, delete the words if the contract of employment between employer and worker concerned contains the stipulation that we have, remove that. So this is a major change in the proposition of the recommendations. Now, friends, now let us come to the definition of strike. In the code and the existing also same thing is there. In the proposed, there is only one inclusion. You can see at the bottom, includes the concerted casually on a given day by 50% of the workers employed in an industry. These are included. As far as the employee is concerned, this is a welcoming introduction or definition of a strike. Now, look at this. Even this also, friends, the trade unions fought left and right. They put a reverse argument. What reverse argument? They said when you define a strike is one in which 50% of the workforce indulge in stoppage of work. Otherwise, it is not a strike. If 10% of the workers do strike, no, it's not a strike. 20% no, 30% no, it must be 50%. They put the reverse gear. That's kind of. Then availing leave, because 50% of people mass availing leave casually amounts to that what is said. So here they are availing leave, the privilege of a workman whenever he wishes to strike. This amounts to curbing the rights to go on strike, which is against the Constitution of India. We don't know where they get the right of striking in the Constitution of India, because you know that the right to strike is not a fundamental right of the trade union in the Constitution of India. It's a legal right, not a constitutional right. But nobody was able to counter this. Nobody was able to counter argue in the committee on behalf of employees. There's a whole problem. So the committee recommended the definition be revisited and suitably worded so as to give a clear impression, and the provisions do not intend to infringe the rights of workers as guaranteed on Constitution of India. This kind of a recommendation they have given. Now we have to wait and see what kind of a recommendation, what kind of a thing, what the government is going to do, Parliament is going to do. We don't know. This is a matter of serious concern, friends. Now, another important point, definition of wages. In the proposed definition of wages, as all you know, the wages have been defined under Code of Wages Act, Code on Wages in 2019, and same definition has been incorporated in all the three codes. Same definition, no change in it, same thing. Now here also they incorporated same thing. Be very simple. Of course, for just quick ready reference, I have just reproduced this. Includes basic pay, dearness allowance, and retaining everything, and excludes so many, like that you already know. You see the Code of Wages. I don't repeat it. It is excluded. But now, friends, the trade unions took up very strong view, debated very hotly in this case. They said that you must include HRA, the bonus, and conveyance allowances along with basic and DA and retaining a pay. Look at this. They said you must include. So ministry tried to defend, saying that we have already uniformed definition in all the courts. We already done it. The union said, please amend it. What is so great? If you can incorporate here, he amended three courts also. Same definition. So, irrespective of the financial liability on the employers, we don't go up. You have to incorporate it because the argument put by you, why you are excluding this, doesn't hold anything in logic. Logic doesn't hold good. So you must include it. That is the kind of thing you argue. Now they said that the committee recommended as follows. Look at the committee. They are not convinced with the reasoning advanced by the ministry for not including bonus and conveyance allowance and house and allowance in the definition of wage. They are not convinced. Not plausible reasons, no plausible reasons are given under this combination. And notwithstanding the plea of the extra burden on the employer as well as employer. He said, we don't worry about it. Yes, it's both the burden to both employee and employer, no problem in it, but you include all these things. Look at this, friend. Now, when as it's already in the Code of Wages, your financial liability is already increased by way of so many things. Now, here also, if they force these people to amend it, then the amend other codes also, then the serious is what's going to happen. Again, this friend was not defended properly by our employers. That is the problem. Now, here, coming to grievance redressal committee. In the present ID Act in section 9C, so this is the 9C, any employment more than 20 or more, we have to have one more grievance redressal committee, and number of members shall not be more than 6, and within 30 days they should dispose. In the revised proposed code, they have included one more addition. Not only grievance of an employee in work, grievance relating to non-employment and terms of employment and conditions of service. Look at this. See, strictly speaking, all these matters of relating to non-employment, terms of employment and conditions of service, actually it is all matters in which they have dispute. So can a matter be taken before grievance redressal committee? So this is a concern of the management, no doubt about it. And the bill also says that the agreement in such manner prescribed within 3 years from the date of each cause of action is given limitation period of almost 3 years to do this. So this also was debated very strongly. Then agreed. One thing they have agreed to do is that they have done away with what you call the relating to employment, non-employment, terms of employment. Definitely agreed it is okay. It is some relief to us. But what they have done is that here in the existing grievance redressal system, the agreed worker can represent to an employer. But now here what happens is that he can straight away go to conciliation. If he is not happy with the grievance redressal committee decision, he can straight away go to conciliation. Then another most important thing is, friend, another thing most important is there. So kindly mute yourself, friends. Kindly mute. Then second thing is, under the present clause, if you have a systematic grievance procedure in your place, then this section 19 provision is not applicable now. But in this proposed code, they have deleted this. It means that even though you have grievance redressal system in place, still you have to have a grievance redressal committee by this. This is the implication of the whole thing. Now, coming to Trade Union Act, this chapter, in Trade Union chapter, friend, not many changes are there. It is a replica of the existing Trade Unions Act, no change in it, but except, of course, the recognition of trade unions. Just I will highlight just one or two points which the unions sought very immediately. Here he says, the trade union shall be recognized by the appropriate government or any officer authorized by such government. That is the proposed code. If there is one union, it shall be recognized. If there is more than one union having 75% of the membership should be recognized. By whom? Present law says, present proposed provision says it should be approved by authority under the government. But here, what the recommendation of the company is that, why do you want to give it to the approve the authority to appropriate government? Yeah, let the employer do it. Let the employer take the responsibility recognition. Let them do it. That's one system are there. And also they have said that 75% of the membership to determine the recognition status is too high. Too high, it should be lowered down. It is too high, it should be lowered down. This is one thing they have mentioned. And secondly, period of recognition is 3 years in the present code, and they said that it should be 5 years. The recognition should be 5 years. This is the kind of thing what they have made. So this we have to see. Now, coming to the reservation system, dispute mechanism system, only thing is, friends, as I said already, the conciliation proceedings, there is no reference by the government hereafter, after recording. It is deleted. It means that the parties will go before the conciliation. Conciliation officer will deliberate different parties to arrive at a settlement. If a settlement is reached, then the matter is over. If the settlement is not reached, he is going to prepare a failure report. He will give one copy to failure report to the both parties, and it is for the parties to take up to adjudication on their own. That's all. It means that reference by the government is eliminated here in this code. Second thing is the industrial tribunals. Right now we have got one sitting judge as the industrial tribunal. But now the court says it should be two and supported by one administrative associate. And he should be, this have been mentioned that he must be a professionally competent person to hold the position. So a bench should consist of 3 people in industrial tribunal as well as in national tribunals. So this is the thing what they have made. And other things are almost identical to the present ID Act, nothing much. Here, there one more thing what they have done is that instead of calling as an expert, assessor, the court has mentioned as assessor, so along with 2 judicial members of the tribunal, they said don't mention assessor, put it as an expert. Expert in the field of this one, he will be in the tribunal to assist the other tribunal member. This is the consists of 3. This is kind of thing. That's not a problem. Then another thing is they have deleted clause 15(5) of the government, which empowers the appropriate government or the central government to make an order rejecting or modify the award given by any tribunal. Friends, this of course is mainly applicable to public sector units. Now, even in the present Act, present ID Act under section 17A, if the award is a public sector undertaking, in case of public sector, it goes against the government. It is held against the government. Then, if the government feels that if we accept the order, is going to cause prejudice to so and so and so and so over a period of time, then the court has got authority to reject the award. that kind of thing under present section 17A. But the trade unions hotly argued on this point to say that in a similar case, Andhra Pradesh High Court and Madras High Court in 2014, they have held this clause as unconstitutional and should be deleted. So here also, what they have done is that the committee said that please delete this clause. It should not be there. But for three reasons, because this is mainly to publicity unit and effect, have agreed to delete this. Now coming to strikes and lockouts. Definition, of course, we have discussed. Now here, in the present code, they eliminated the public utility services, and 14 days notice for a strike has been mandated in the present code. But now in the recommendation, the unions argued very hotly. They said nothing doing. Public utility services, you must maintain it. There is no question of that. The other people, they can go. You can't put restrictions on people to go on strike. So don't trespass into their rights to go on strike. It's not correct. So please remove that clause and then let it be as it is now. It means that for public services, okay, 14 days notice. For other establishments, no, don't say anything. It's governed by their own standing orders or settlement, whatever they have. But you don't interfere in this matter. So this serious recommendation by this one, even though ministry tried to defend this case, but it was not possible for them to decide anymore. Now here, friends, when it coming to layoff and retrenchment closure clauses, here, of course, the one good thing what the trade unions have put at least one good thought here. In the proposed code, layoff, the reasons are shortage of power, raw material, etc., including natural calamities. They have mentioned it. And 50% of basic day as compensation paid for 45 days, unless there is an agreement between employer and employee that beyond 45 days, compensation will be paid. If we have an agreement with them, I will not pay beyond 45 days in case of this. Layoff compensation need not be paid. Present position. The committee was the opinion, they said that the natural calamities are beyond the control of any employer and it is not justifiable to pay the compensation. This is one good thing what they have done. They said that please do not, because employees cannot be asked to pay the layoff compensation when on account of natural calamity. Now, we are going through the clause of this corona, etc., etc. They said that please delete this. It's not this is the one good thing what they have made. That's the only thing. Now here, this is applicable to chapter 5B. What I am talking to you is on chapter 5B. Now here, look at the last sentence. Number 100 of workers or such number of workers as may be notified by the appropriate government. Average working day per preceding 12 months. It means that the government has got powers to enhance the limit of 100 to 200, whatever it is. They got the powers. Now here, the unions argued very hotly to say that this power should not be given to the central government. It cannot be an administrative matter. So please delete the word as may be notified by the appropriate government. Please delete it. Because this is a code itself. If they had to increase it, do it, that can come before the parliament amended. Where is the question of doing this? So please delete this. So this is one serious thing what they have contended. Then reskilling. This is a new thing which they have introduced. And the employer is liable to pay 15 days wages to the workers for retrenched or who had lost the job on account of closure. The committee, however, decided that 15 days wage should be made applicable only in case of retrenchment, as applicability clause should be unwarranted in case of closures. It is unfair on the part of the employer's mind. And the company, another thing, important thing, friends, what they have suggested is that the company desires that the stipulation of 15 days wage for retrenchment be enhanced to at least 30 days for the benefit of workers and employees. See, this is the bullet what they have put in this class. So they have put a seed, increase the retrenchment compensation from 15 days to 30 days. So this one seed they have put. We have to see how the ministry is going to address or take up is an issue. If you see the overall recommendation, what they have said is that it is better there should be a separate and exclusive chapter outlining rights of both parties and containing principles pertaining to industrial relations based on ILO Convention recommendation and the Constitution of India. They should make a separate portion. I don't know what exactly they're going to mean or what they will have spelled out, but they mentioned that there should be a special separate chapter dealing with this kind of thing to safeguard the rights and liabilities of both parties. So this is an overall recommendation what they have made before the Parliament. Another thing what they have done is that maybe they are right. If you see the code, the words as may be specified occur at least 100 times under various sections and provisions which appear determined in the appropriate legislation. Wherever thing it says as may be specified, as may be specified, as may be specified. The unions strongly argued on this point to say that this must be limited. It means that when you prepare the bill in such a way, you prescribe everything whatever you want. Why do you want to keep that at a later date and you prescribe something else which you don't know, which you are not continuing? So whatever you want to say, mention in the bill itself, so that we know what exactly we are going to prescribe. So this is not warranted, so you have to take care of. So this is the thing what they have said. And regarding the unorganized sector, because the code doesn't speak of unorganized sector at all. But what they say is that there should be exclusive chapter be incorporated, clearly spelling out the applicable various provisions, including the grievance mechanism for unorganized work. Friends, in short, I have compressed the recommendation. The recommendation report consists of almost 130 pages. 130 pages. And it's available on the web. You can just download it and then read it also. It's quite interesting music. What argument even inside that, how the ministry have defended, you can have a look at it. But unfortunately, what I can say is I have gone to report 3-4 times to understand and make this kind of a study. And here what I find that employer's voice is not heard anywhere in the report except just one place is not heard at all. The ministry has not got the support by employees. Practical issue what we and you are going to face in shop work. So this is the kind of thing what they have done. Now, the latest information I can tell you of this report has been submitted to the speaker of the and the ministry I was told that they have redrafted the entire bill. Now, IR code 19 will not be there. They are going to drop and they have already drafted the new IR bill 20. And almost around 40% of these recommendations, 40% of the recommendations, it appears have been incorporated in the bill. We are not seeing the bill yet. Of course, it is available, but I am not seeing it. It is incorporated in the bill. This is the latest information we see in there. So what happens when you see the revised bill? When it comes, probably it will be in a day or two. When you examine the real bill, probably these recommendations what they have made, some of the recommendations or many recommendations you are going to find in the bill. So this is only what you call, I am preparing a mindset to understand the implication of the new bill, what's going to happen. So this one. So there is nothing but a big Pandora's issue and it keep on changing. So this is the situation, friends, what is happening on the IR code front. But now we have to see the new bill, what it contains, how it contains. And if the bill says, if they want to call for any objections from state parties on new bill, I think at least now, our employers must rise to the occasion and then go with a strong petition and represent and see that the interest is guarded. Otherwise, this is not what you call labor reform in terms of clear labor reform. In terms of it's not a labor reform, it's in terms of somebody else. It is not going to help the business, it's not going to help the entire thing. So this actually it's against the employee's interest. So here If that is there, I think employers should represent very seriously and properly to forward the bill. Either memorandum to ministry when it is placed, or at the debate, or in the call for objections, some action had to be taken by the employers and the ministry. So, in short, friends, I just thought of sharing with you these thoughts so that you'll be aware of what is going to be reflected in 2020 bill considering this recommendation. So, this is the recommendation, keep it in mind, and when the new bill comes, you can always understand, okay, oh, these are recommendations made by them and thus are included. And this is the reason for it. Now we can easy for you to compare it. Now, this is exactly what I want to take. If anybody is interested in discussions, we